You're listening to the Player Issue Podcast. Here's your host, Aaron Warwick.
G'day everyone and welcome back for episode 4 of the Player Issue Podcast. Can't believe we've made it this far. We've got through some rough times, some audio failures, but we've made it. We've got past the early stages where we could have easily fallen over and fallen on our face. But thankfully we've got some great supporters out there who love hearing our episodes, and we've got some amazing feedback from all of you, which we really appreciate. And that really drives us to really want to keep going with this, and it's a venture that I think everyone can enjoy if you are a genuine collector or even if you're just wanting to get into collecting. So what we've seen so far has been great from all you guys out there who are sending messages through letting us know that you're enjoying the show. We've had a couple of feedback about the audio quality, and we've made certain strides to fix that. And as you'll hear from this latest episode, is we've definitely gotten much better as far as the quality wise goes. So from here on out, shouldn't have any issues. But obviously if you guys do hear anything that you want to let us know about, please do, and we'll certainly fix those. Today's episode, we are going to talk to a partner of a collector. So something a little bit different, but something that a lot of us can relate to, as we all have partners, or majority of us might have partners. So it's interesting to hear what some partners of other collectors may think of their collection. So yeah, we're going to have a chat with her today, and hopefully you enjoy it. That's only going to go for around 21 minutes. And then we're going to have a very short break, and then we're going to move into a Q&A episode. We actually had you guys send in some questions, and we're going to ask the majority of those on the show. I had to actually cut some out because it went for a lot longer than I expected. Some of the answers were a bit long-winded, but I tried my best. And if you guys, as you guys will hear on the show, I do ask for your feedback as far as some of the answers to the questions, as I wanted to leave a few of them open, so you guys can certainly contribute to the answers on our page, and we can get them across to the collectors on the next episode, so you guys can hear from the collectors of each club the answers that you guys actually have and what you've given us. And I think you guys will know a little bit more than me, as I probably didn't do enough research, to be perfectly honest, but it gives us the opportunity to really get involved with each other and hear what everybody has to say about their own club. So please do so. Please share your wisdom with us, and we'll certainly pass it on in the next episode. So, without further ado, we will join our episode with Emma. Okay, we have a special guest in the studio with us today, other than the dog Milo, who's joined us on the floor. She's destroying a brown and white monkey. You can definitely hear the chewing in the background, so it might not go that well. She's chewing on the eye right now. If you've ever listened to the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, the award-winning podcast that's never actually won an award, you'll know that he brings his dogs in quite often. So this is Milo. She's going to join us today. We'll get to our actual guest, which is a partner, or a wag if you like, of a collector. Emma. How are you, Emma?
Hello. Just listening to your dog destroy a teddy.
I think your excitement is just as excited as Josh was in our very first ever episode, sorry.
I'm worried I'm going to end up like this bear.
If you get too close to her while she's chewing, you may very well.
Missing a few eyes.
Emma is here to talk to us as a wag, as you like, to tell us about her life as a partner or fiance, I believe, to a collector. So, Emma, are we ready?
I think so.
I think so, okay. So, my first question for you is, do you support football? And if so, who do you support?
Well, I support Fremantle Dockers because my family would kill me if I didn't, especially my dad, and then especially my partner.
Okay.
If I didn't support Freo, I would die. I'd definitely get killed if I come home and said I support West Coast now.
Yeah, I think you'd probably get thrown out of the house.
I would not survive, so...
No, being a Fremantle supporter myself, I know that feeling all too well.
I tried to support Freo when I was younger, but of course I was classed as the jinx in the house. Dad would be watching the football, and then I would come along and be like, what's the score? And of course they'd start losing, so Dad would be like, get out, that's it. You're not allowed to support football.
It sounds like my mum, actually. She's not allowed to watch any games because as soon as she looks at the TV, the opposite
Start losing.
will score, no doubt.
Yeah.
So she walks away immediately.
Or I'd be that really annoying kid that would come in and go, "What's holding the ball?" "Shut up, I don't have time to explain it to you. I'll tell you later. Get out. Do it later."
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Okay, so you sport Fremantle.
Yes.
How long has your partner been collecting for?
Ooh. 5 years? Maybe 6 years?
Okay.
I think.
You think? You sure?
I think it's around those marks.
Would you like a multiple choice?
It's been a while.
Okay.
My life consists of football collection.
Well, that's good. That's what we're here for.
I can't remember the day I didn't see something hanging up in the house anymore, so it's...
Excellent. Oh, excellent. That sounds like the perfect topic then. So what was your original thoughts on your partner's collection?
I used to think it was stupid.
Okay.
Started off with one... No, it started off with one jersey. And I remember taking a photo for it, and I was like, at least he likes something. And then one jersey turned into 10, and then 10 turned into 20, and before you know it, he's got a whole room, which I created, so that's okay.
I think we'll get to that.
That's okay.
I've noticed you just called it a jersey too, by the way. Is that what you generally refer to them as, jersey?
I call them jumpers sometimes now.
Okay.
I never call them Guernseys.
No?
Never. But I always called them jerseys. I always know them as jerseys, but then can't really call them jerseys in our house, so...
It's funny, I actually love it, because we've had a few people in the studio now, and that we've had every single interpretation of it. We've had jersey, we've had jumper, and we've had Guernsey. So it just goes to show that it really is a universal thing. It doesn't matter what you say, you know exactly what you're talking about. Everyone knows what you're talking about. So, no, that's good. We actually have every interpretation of it, so thank you.
No worries.
Okay, so you mentioned that you created the room for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, please elaborate and explain your creation as Milo destroys this poor monkey.
It's gone.
Just before we get to that, just so you know, Milo is a Staffy cross Shih Tzu. Yes. That means she is a fluffy Staffy.
A teddy bear.
It's very hard to explain, and if you've never seen one, which you probably haven't because I never have, you'll have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, so I'm going to have to put up a photo on the page one day so you can actually see her, because she's a weird-looking invention, but she's very cute, and we love her, and everybody who meets her loves her. So, yeah, anyway, on to your story.
Oh, what was the question again? Oh, how did it... Yes, okay.
The room.
The room. Well, at first, it was obviously the 1 or 2 jumpers, and at that time we were living at his mum and dad's house, and they were lying around. We were in a tiny little room. Didn't have any room for them. So, at first, he had this room dedicated to a singer that he liked. And
who was the singer?
Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
So it was a Kid Rock room, and it was...
It was known as the Kid Rock room?
It was Kid Rock room. So, anyway, it was covered in Kid Rock posters. Then the Freo jerseys started taking over. So it was half Kid Rock, half Freo, because there was about 6 jerseys in that room then. So then it became the Fro Rock room. Freo / Kid Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Genius. Absolute genius.
It took me ages to get this room together. He was at work one day and I decided that I was sick of seeing these bloody things in my knicker drawers, basically. Everywhere I looked, there was these jerseys. So I was sick of it. So I decided I was going to hang them up. So I went down to the shop, bought all these little hooks, stuck them all on the wall, threw all the coat hangers up there and jerseys up, put all the posters up. I think there was a few other things too. I think it was a lava lamp, Docker's lava lamp.
Okay.
Didn't work, but it was a Docker's lava lamp, so I couldn't throw it in the bin. There was a few other things in there, like basketballs, but that's how it started. And then, obviously, he came home. Oh, and banners. I put banners up too.
Right.
So it was then the Fro Rock room. It was Kid Rock / Freo. And then the collection just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we moved out, and the collection kind of just... Actually, I think that was the neatest packed thing when we moved. I just threw my clothes in a box, but these jerseys were all perfectly folded. They all had to be numbered, and they all had to be in the right order. And then the first thing that went up when we moved out was these jerseys. Stuff put in the kitchen together. Don't worry about putting our bed together. Get the jerseys hanging up. You can't crinkle them.
Nope.
Don't crease the jerseys. So yeah,
Oh, Jesus! Milo has just absolutely destroyed this monkey.
there's beads in it.
Shook the absolute hell out of it, and there's beads going everywhere. I hope you can hear that.
I hope you can hear that. That was the best. You look so confused.
I'll take a photo of the destruction as well so you can see it. 'Cause it is everywhere. She looks very accomplished.
What happened?
She looks kind of upset that
She
it's
looks
gone.
really upset. Isn't she a bit confused? What happened? Aw.
Okay, so anyway, back to the story.
So anyway, I ended up finding a bunch of like cheap hangers and stuff on Marketplace. I ended up finding a really big industrial one, and some guy dropped it off for me. It was quite cheap. It was only like $30, and it was quite strong, so it held a lot of the jumpers because the more we hung up, the heavier it got. So the racks started bowing under the weight of jerseys.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got this industrial metal one, and that worked really well. And then so now in our house we have a whole room just with jerseys in it. Mm-hmm. So it's now the jersey room. Don't ask me how much is in there because I have no idea. There's a lot.
So before it ended up in the Kid Rock room, where were these jerseys? I prefer to say jumpers. I'm sorry. Where were the jumpers stored?
Just in our room.
Okay.
It was just sort of in drawers, folded up. We didn't have anywhere to put them, and it was just started with one, and then we framed a couple. Or we attempted to frame a couple, and so then we had big frames laying around. But obviously, his parents didn't want to drill any holes in the walls, so hanging them up was a bit hard. And then, yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, how do you feel about the jumper collection now?
I don't mind it. I suppose it paid for a lot of my holiday, so
Oh, really?
I can't complain. Paid for my engagement ring.
Oh, really? Did it really?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think it did.
Okay.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. As far as I know.
Okay.
I'm still trying to figure out how much it's worth, but I'm not being told.
No, I think that's usually the way with collectors and their partners is they'll try and keep how much it's actually worth because they don't want to let them know how much they've actually spent to themselves.
You don't want to know how many jerseys have gone disappearing in this.
No, you don't want to know how much money has gone.
It's for a good cause.
Yeah,
it's a good cause.
Do you have any jumpers that you own in your collection?
Yes, I have 2. Neither of them which I have bought. They have been bought for me.
Okay.
The first one is...
I'm guessing by your partner.
Yes, he bought them
Is
for
that
me.
to get you into collecting?
I think it was just to sort of sweeten the deal of how many he has to come, to be fair. The first one is a 2015 Anzac match-worn jumper, Lee Spur.
Nice.
And I think he bought that one when he bought his first jumper in an auction. Or close, they're close to
Right.
one of his first. It was sort of I think it was like, here, I bought you a jumper, and don't feel bad, I've bought another 10. And then my second one is a Ballantine name jumper.
Nice.
Which I got, I think, for Christmas.
Awesome.
I got it for a present, anyway.
Super collectible, those ones.
Yeah. It's in his collection, but they're mine.
So you allow it to...
But they are mine, and I do keep an eye on when he's selling his occasionally, that
Right.
you better not put those ones in there. Without my permission, of course.
Fair enough.
Otherwise you'll be in trouble.
What else do you collect other than football jumpers?
Pets.
Pets.
I have a lot of pets.
There's a Milo
for goodness
that's
sake.
thrown more beads all over the place. What pets do you collect?
Oh, we have a lot of pets. Good lord. It's getting worse. There's beads going everywhere. So obviously you got a dog. We did have 2 birds. One of them just passed away. I'd had him for 10 years.
Rest in peace.
Poor little bugger. But he was old. I've got goldfish. And then I have a fighting fish. And then we have turtles.
Turtles.
2 turtles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love turtles.
All of our pets have weird names as well, so...
Oh yeah, go for it. Hit me. What are all their names? Every single one of them.
No, the goldfish don't have names, they're just the fish.
Oh, that's really upsetting for the fish.
The little finch that I have that is colourful is somehow called Mundy.
Mundy. Ooh.
It's a girl, but it's called Mundy. I had...
It's a great name for a bird.
It's not for a female bird. Then you've got my canary, which was Mr. Twee. Then you've got my fighting fish, which is Disney.
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 So you're a big Disney fan, obviously.
Well, yeah, and I asked my sister to buy me a Disneyland ticket for my birthday, and she bought me a goldfish, or bought me this fighting fish.
Close.
So I called it Disney, because it was meant to be a Disneyland ticket.
Genius.
And then you've got Turtle, which is our old turtle, and Squishy, which is our little baby turtle.
Oh, nice. Okay. Surely you collect more than just
I do
pets.
have more than pets,
Okay,
yes.
so-
I like to say I collect pets first, because
Yep.
there's a few of them.
No, fair enough. What else? What
I
else do you collect?
collect pop vinyls.
Nice. Okay. What's your most prized pop vinyl?
Not my favourite, but my first that I ever bought. I bought for $10, and it was Crush off of Finding Nemo. Mm-hmm. And I paid $10 for him, and he is now valued at about $150.
Damn.
Yeah. I bought him secondhand off Marketplace.
It's just like jumper collecting. You can find yourself a good score and end up with a real good value on it later on.
I just bought him because I thought, we've got turtles, how cool, have a turtle pop vinyl, and then, put him in there's a little app that tells you how much they're worth, and, it popped up as $150. Never
sense.
seen another one since.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that's a good score.
I think total pop vinyls I've got about 50 something, 50 odd.
Right.
Goes up and down.
How much do you reckon it's worth?
Well, apparently on this app it's worth about a couple of $1,000s.
Damn.
Yeah. But
Making yourself a good jumper collection out of it.
yeah. Fits in a smaller space than the jumper collection. I need another shelf actually. I'm running out of space.
Yeah.
Getting too much
Sounds
space.
like the house is getting a bit cramped.
It is. My pop vinyl started off on a shelf, and then that shelf slowly but surely got taken over by his football items, and then he started collecting WWE pop figures, and then before I knew it, that shelf was no longer mine, and I got moved to the other side of the house. But it's okay. It looks good.
You mentioned that your favourite pop vinyl, you didn't actually say what it was. What is your favourite?
Bambi.
Bambi.
All of my Bambis.
All the Bambis.
All the Bambis. So I've got 3 of Bambi. One of them's him skating on ice, and then one's just normal Bambi, and then one's a fluffy Bambi, and then you've got Thumper and Flower as well out of the movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And they're your favourites.
It's my favourite.
I'm assuming not the most valuable, but just sentimentally your favourite.
No, a Thumper's worth a fair bit.
Okay.
Worth a bit too. He's worth about $70 odd. But yeah, not I wouldn't sell him anyway.
Fair
I
enough.
wouldn't let anyone have him.
Wouldn't sell them for a new jumper?
No.
Okay, one more question for you. If you were to buy any jumpers from any player, from any team, from any era for your own personal collection, is there any that you would like?
God.
I don't think he played.
Um,
Although some people would say Gary Ablett Sr. was God, but...
Well, if I was buying it for him...
For your partner?
For him, yeah. If
Okay.
I was buying him a jumper...
Not the question, but
and
it
I could
sounds
get
good.
anything...
Yeah.
No, because I... Oh, shit, I can't even remember the player's name now.
Oh,
Robert Harvey.
okay.
If I could buy him a proper Robert Harvey that he played him, I'd buy him one of those.
Nice.
Because that's his favourite.
What about for yourself?
But if I could buy myself one, if I could get probably maybe Pavs.
In particular?
I wouldn't say he's final. I don't know. Probably in the middle somewhere where he was not so grey looking when he was a good looking boy. He didn't have such greys going on. Towards the end he got a little grey.
So am I right to assume Pav's your favourite player?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I used to just go to the matches just to watch Pav, to be honest.
Fair enough.
A couple of times I've met him and...
Was it his skill level or was it his arms? The sliding of the chair actually answered that question.
Shut up. Yes, I met him a couple of times. I met him once at a book signing and I didn't actually really talk to him. I just was like, hi, it's finally nice to meet you. And I really wanted to ask him if I could just grab his arms, but I thought that'd be a bit...
And I know people, when they meet their favourite players, sometimes it can be not as nice an experience as they hoped for or imagined. What was it like meeting the Pav?
At the book signing, it was hard because they were just like, what do you want written in the book? Here, have the book, sign it. He would say hello. He was nice, but he was in a hurry.
Yeah.
He had a big line to get through. And then we went to, I can't remember what it was. Maybe, it wasn't Coburn Arc. It was somewhere, like a basketball court, indoor basketball court sort of. And we went and saw him and he was just doing a talk. I can't even remember what the talk was on, to be honest. And afterwards, we went up to him, and you could just talk to him. He's just standing in the middle of the crowd. You could just ask him anything. And we were talking to him for ages. And we even had a friend that was quite ill, and he wanted a jersey signed. So we said, "Can you please sign the jersey?" He personalised it for him.
Nice.
Yeah, he was really nice. It was a lot better. It was less people, and you got to sort of interact with him a bit more. It wasn't just move on, sign a book, move on.
Very nice. So you have had enjoyable experiences of meeting others, obviously.
Oh yeah, I've met heaps. We've met a few actually, because we used to go to a lot of the open trainings. Unfortunately, I've been working some of them now, which is a bit hard. But yeah, we've met Pav a few times. We met Judd as well.
Yep.
At a book signing. He was really nice. He just wouldn't stop smiling at me.
Nice.
Yeah, like Walters and stuff like that. They've all been quite nice, like when we've gone to trainings. But the problem is as well, is when you go to the open trainings, they've got to get sort of to everyone as quick as possible. So it's like quick signature.
Makes it hard.
Hi, how you going? But they acknowledge you at least, as long as they acknowledge you. Mm-hmm. Walters is really good. I remember there was a bunch of kids, and the lady came up to him and was like, "Time to leave." And this kid was bawling his eyes out. He's just like, "Sign my football." And Walters has picked him up over the barrier, sat him on the barrier, signed his ball, and took a photo with him, even though he was told to leave the grounds. So, awesome. He seems really, really into it for the kids and doesn't want to leave them disappointed.
He's been a really good dude too, so yeah, it makes sense.
Doesn't want to leave his fans disappointed, which is good.
Yes. And there's one person you didn't mention, which I thought you might, because if you haven't cottoned onto it by now, Emma is actually my fiance. So we did that very
How many
awkwardly.
jumpers did you sell for my ring? Tell me.
We did that very awkwardly, trying to do it without giving any hints. We probably will have to cut a little bit out because there were a few slip-ups, but we managed to get through it. Milo is now dead asleep on the floor.
I have a big mess to clean up.
Big mess, very cute. But yeah, so Emma is my fiance. Obviously, she was nice and easy to get on at 10 o'clock at night, unlike some others might be sleeping.
Bribed me with an ice cream and a choc milk.
So we just wanted to hear a little bit about what it's like to be a partner of a collector, and what easier interview to do than someone who lives in the same house. So thank you, Emma, for joining me. You didn't mention Dave Mundy when I asked if you had met any players.
Ooh.
So that's a bit upsetting, and if Dave ever hears it, I think he'll be quite upset
I'm
himself.
so sorry. I think of you more as a friend than a player.
Yeah, anyway, so thank you very much for joining me, Emma. Enjoy cleaning this room, this studio.
Oh, thank you. Oh, hang on. I have a question for you.
Oh, here we go.
How do you like your Jersey room?
Yeah, I love it. I do think, Emma, she did set up majority of the new one at least. I did enjoy the Fro Rock room, as she mentioned, when I came home to be completely set up, and she did a great job. It looked great. But now we have a proper room, and she's set up majority of that as well. She got me an industrial rack, which looks awesome and holds the jumpers really, really well, because when you have 150 on one rack, they do not like it. Mm-hmm. We went through a few IKEA racks. Or
a couple of Kmart
a few
ones.
Kmart ones, some reject shop ones, and they've all snapped.
There's one in there at the moment that's leaning slightly to the left a little.
One of them needs to be replaced. It's going to go very soon. No, I do thank you. I really, really thank you for allowing my collection to be what it is. And yes, it has provided us with enough money to go on a holiday and maybe to pay for somewhat of an engagement ring. But
how many jerseys?
That will go to my grave.
How many jerseys? Just tell me how many jerseys you sold, around how many jerseys you sold. Just tell me. You don't have to tell me how much the ring cost.
No.
Oh.
That one will stay with me forever.
I'm going to find the receipt.
Anyway, thank you very much again for joining me, Emma. I hope you had fun. I know Milo did, and she's now destroyed. So I hope you can join us again. We may do some guest interviewing with you, if that's okay. When Josh is unavailable, we might use you to interview some people as they come in the studio.
Use away.
Use away. Okay,
Use
great.
away.
That's what we like to hear. Thank you very much, Emma, again. And thank you all for listening to our interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So there you go. Just a little bit of a chat with Emma, the partner of a collector, myself, obviously. I don't know how many people we actually fooled into thinking she was a partner of anybody else other than myself. However, thank you, Emma, for coming into the studio and recording with us and just sharing some of your thoughts on my collection with everybody else and what you think of it. we actually decided to keep Emma around for a little while. Well, I've decided to keep her around for a lot longer, I suppose, because I proposed to her in America, but we've decided to keep her around in the studio for a little bit longer just to do a bit of a Q&A episode. And you guys sent in your questions, as I mentioned at the start of the episode. So we're just going to jump straight into that now. Here we go. Okay, so we've now had a bit of a break, and the break, actually, to be truthful, actually lasted about a month. Because we cut away from that interview with Emma, and we've now moved into a Q&A episode, which we're doing at 12:16 a.m. on a Saturday night, which is about a month down the track from the last interview. So we're going to get into a Q&A with Emma's going to ask the questions, and I'm going to answer them as best I can. And of course, if you guys have any information for us that might help us with answering these questions, feel free to please let us know in the comments section, or just send us a message, or chuck it up on the page so everyone knows the answers a little bit better than what I could maybe give. Most of these answers will just be obviously purely my opinions or thoughts, or just some of the research that I have done into it. And I'll be honest, I haven't probably done enough research into it, so the answers will just be what I believe mostly, but some factual. Hopefully as much factual as we possibly can. So starting the questions, Emma will say who the question was sent in by, and she'll mention who the person supports, and she'll go on to ask the question, and we'll go from there. So, Emma, thank you for joining me again.
No worries.
Just briefly after our last interview. Milo is still around. If you've forgotten who Milo is already, just very shortly after our interview, she is our puppy, and she has moved her way outside, not by choice. We have moved her out there purely because she made a lot of noise in the last interview, so we're going to try and keep her out there. And if she starts whinging, you'll hear her, but we'll try and cut out as much as we can so you don't hear her too much. But we do want her to become the mascot.
She's rather entertaining.
She is rather entertaining. If you had seen what she actually did to our room, you probably would have enjoyed it a bit more than hearing it.
I have a photo of it.
Yes, I do have to put that up after this episode, so I will. Thankfully, after the month that we did that, we haven't deleted it.
No, but I had to vacuum it all up.
Didn't take that long. The Dyson V7, good vacuum. And I'm not even getting paid to say that. I wish I was. Hey, Dyson, hook us up.
Just be very careful how you buy it. I got it bought for Christmas. It could be taken a very wrong way.
Yeah, hang on. Let's talk about that first. So, David Mundy, those of you who don't know, is the Fremantle Dockers legend. He wanted to buy a coffee machine for his wife for Christmas. And he asked me if he thought it was a bit weird buying a kitchen item. And I said, you know what, does she really want it? And he said, yes, of course, it's a coffee machine and she'll have it more often than not, so of course she'll love it. So I said to him, should I buy Emma a Dyson vacuum for Christmas? And he said, would she love it? And I said, yes, but she might like to hit me over the head with it to start with. So I still wasn't too sure at that point. So I did. I bought it for her for Christmas. I think I might have given it to you a little bit before Christmas just to be safe.
Yeah.
But it definitely was a Christmas present.
It was a Christmas present.
And it didn't get wrapped around my head. And you do love it.
I do love the vacuum.
It is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do love it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So they're up to V11 now, and those things are awesome. But even the V7 is really, really good.
Sounds like you're buying a car.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, powerful machines. It lasted me a while today when I vacuumed the whole house.
Oh, good on you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, so enough ranting. Let's get into the questions. Emma, what's the first question?
All right. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
This is from Justin Leckie, and he supports Port Adelaide.
Why are you asking me? You've got it in front of you.
I can't see. My glasses are foggy.
She can't see. Her glasses are on her face. Anyway, Justin Leckie, who supports Port Adelaide. Yes, he does. You may continue.
His question is, when did teams start using GPS pockets, and what was their purpose?
Okay, so this is one I haven't probably done enough research into. I can give you an answer based on what I know, and that may even be incorrect. But We'll start with when they start using them. I know for a fact that Fremantle started using them in 2011 when they switched to ISC for the first time. And I had absolutely no idea what it was when I saw it. It took me a while. Geelong started using them around the same time, 2010, 2011. I think West Coast may have started using them in 2009. Otherwise, 2010 is a definite. I believe Hawthorn was approximately the same time, 2011 to maybe even 2010 as well, actually. Adelaide started in 2009, I believe. And yeah, that's probably as much as I can give you at the moment. But if anyone else has any more answers, please let us know on when your club started using GPS Pockets so we can get a definitive answer for that particular question. Why they started using them was purely just to track the players themselves, whether it was how much work they were doing, how much sprinting. It may not have given you that entire thing when they first started using it. However, I know now that it tracks literally everything, their sprint efforts, how far they've run, how fast they've run. So it just keeps a track on their actual heart rate and things like that. So the clubs know when they may need a rest, or basically just they may need a rest, or even just the clubs want to see how they've gone at the end of the game to see that their players are actually putting in the effort that they need from them. Some players out there probably don't want to wear them, but yeah, they're probably some of the lazier work rate players. A few little tidbits on that is I know that they started out quite large, the GPSs themselves, and the players were complaining about how uncomfortable they were to wear, and they've all seemed to move into the same one now. Can't remember who manufactures it, but I have seen that someone has put it up on the page, so check it out. It's a lot smaller, and I think it's actually softer from what I've heard from some of the players. It doesn't hurt them when they actually hit the ground, because it looks like it can be quite uncomfortable. But from what I've heard from some of the players, it doesn't bother them at all, which is pretty good. There you go. Question number 1 is down. Emma, over to you. Question number 2.
You. Sorry. Having a bit of a nap. So next one is from Christian. His team is Geelong.
Thank you, Christian.
The question is, does the lack of COA, Certificate of Authenticity, affect the value of a jumper?
This answer could go on for a very long time. However, I don't really want it to, so I'll keep it as short and sweet as I possibly can. Yes, it probably does, but again, that's something that we covered with Anthony and possibly even Rob in previous episodes, where if you are a heavy collector and you know what you're looking at and what you're looking for, you're probably going to pay it whether it has a COA or not. But generally, if you're trying to sell on eBay and things like that, it will affect your selling value, because a lot of the people will look for it. Will it say it has a COA? No, it doesn't. They'll move on. So your market comes down drastically to just a certain amount of people rather than a much broader, larger base. So yes, it probably does affect it. I know if it was from a club, auctions and the end of season sales, things like that, were it to come with a COA, you would find a lot more people would be willing to spend a lot more money. If you're buying it directly from a player, I actually saw recently that someone got that player to sign a certificate or just a letter basically saying that yes, it has been worn by me, and that's just to basically protect his investment for the future. Makes sense. If I was to keep something in my collection, it wouldn't bother me to have that or not, but it would be actually pretty cool to have. So yes, I would say it does affect it, but it all depends on the type of collector you are, whether or not you're really invested in having COAs around the place. I've got heaps, but they're not looking too great in the files that they're in right now. They're kind of falling apart, so the COAs are a little bit everywhere. But yes, I do have COAs. Half the time I forget what COAs I even have. So when I'm advertising some jumpers sometimes, I won't even say it has a COA because I forget. And most of the time I don't really care about the value-wise of it, if it has it or not, because as I said previously, to me, the value that I put it up is the value I value it at, and that's as simple as that, really. Okay, on to question number 3. Thank you, Christian, for that question.
Are you ready for this one?
Not sure.
This one's going to, test you. All right, this one's from Matt. His team's GWS.
GWS. Didn't know anyone supported GWS. Sorry. Clint's going to hit me for that one.
I'm asking the questions here. This is my turn.
They're a powerhouse, let's be honest. They'll be pretty damn good, so...
All right, you ready?
Yes, go for it.
What is a player issue jumper?
What is a player issue jumper? Wow, okay. I actually wrote something probably a couple of years ago now, and I really wish I could find that, because I'm pretty sure that narrowed it down pretty well. Because you put it up on forums, what is a player issue? You type in player issue or player issued, and people say, what the hell is the difference between player issue and player issued? Now, this is something that I would say is an opinion, so I'm going to give my opinion on it, but I hope you agree. To me, a player issue jumper is a jumper that is made for that player to wear. Now, it doesn't mean that the player has worn it, and it also doesn't mean that it has a GPS pocket. I know that sounds weird, but it doesn't need a GPS pocket to be a player issue jumper. What they make the jumper out of generally is much more high quality than a retail jumper. And if you've ever had one, you'll certainly know that. But if you are looking at that jumper directly and you'll see if it has a GPS pocket or not, you can still tell whether or not it's player issue material. So that to me makes it a player issue jumper if it is still made with sublimated numbers. Unless you're Carlton, we'll probably get into that later. But if it has sublimated numbers, is made of the correct material, certainly has the same cut. Because if you're trying on a medium-sized retail jumper, and then trying on a medium-sized player issue cut jumper, is completely different. And then every player's jumper is different as well. I don't believe there's two of the same size ISC medium player issue jumper, because you'll see medium long and just standard medium. But depending on the cut of the player, it can be completely different. Medium can be wide, could be thin, could be longer, could be shorter than others. So, yes, player issue is specifically made to be worn by a player. Not necessarily has been, though. But to me, a player issued jumper, player issued means it's been completely prepared for that player. So the GPS pocket has been attached. It has been put in that kit, whether it's the kit room, the equipment manager has it, whatever. It's been given to the equipment managers to put into the players' lockers to wear, etc. That to me was a player issued jumper. And that could also cover where it has been worn or not, that you're not too sure. You can simply say it's player issued because I know the player has had this. For instance, if a player is selling it themselves, but you're not 100% sure if they've worn it, and they're not 100% sure if they've worn it either, just come directly from them, it's a player issued jumper. Because that player had it. It was theirs. So, yeah, I think it's an odd way of explaining it, and it's probably better in words. So if I find what I wrote, I'll put that up. But yeah, to me, that to me is a player issue jumper. It's quite simply, it's a jumper that was issued to a player to wear on game day. It's completely different material cut, etc. from retail jumpers. So if you haven't got your hands on a player issue jumper, definitely do so, and you'll notice massive differences in the quality of material and cut, etc. Yes. Sorry if I didn't answer that very well, but
I feel like you could have gone on forever with that one.
I definitely could have. Yeah. Thank you, Matt from GWS. They're harder actually to figure out their player issue jumpers, GWS. They all have GPS pockets. They're sewn in directly from manufacturer, whether it was X-Blades or ISC. No, sorry, not ISC. ISC were added afterwards, but X-Blades and BLK were added as in the manufacturing of the jumper, so they were a bit easier to figure out. But their retail cuts were pretty similar, and the material was very similar with the player issue jumpers and the retail, but the actual cut is how you can certainly tell. The material is a little bit different, so unless you're stretching it, you probably wouldn't notice. But the cut is where you can certainly notice. It's very tapered to the player's body style. So just a bit of fact for you for GWS, if anyone from GWS is listening.
Probably the only person that asked the question.
And Clint. Don't forget Clint. You're a good man, Clint.
Ready for next?
You may go.
Oh, right. Thank you.
After I have a sip.
Yeah, you go for it. All right. Next one is from Andy Munro.
Andy.
It's the Adelaide Crows.
Adelaide Crows. I'm pretty sure it's Adelaide Crows, but yes, I'm not 100%. He collects quite a lot of different clubs, so
if he's gotten it wrong, we apologise and correct him.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I'm correct, but if I'm not, I'm sorry, Andy. He's a regular contributor to the page, so thank you, Andy.
All right.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
And his question is, what is the best way to identify player issue jumpers pre-GPS pockets?
Yeah, okay. Tough one. There are some clubs that made it somewhat easier. West Coast were one of those clubs in the mid-2000s where they had the logo, the Eagles logo, watermarked rather, into the jumpers, so into the material. They had the watermarked eagle head. They also had the cut was different as well from approximately 2002, 2003-ish onwards. The bottom, the hem was curved, and the bottom of the jumpers, that's the hem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was curved, really, yeah. And so also with the West Coast as well, just covering them, after 2006 rather, so 2006? Yeah, so 2006 they had still tags on the back of their jumper, on the collar of their jumper. 2007 they moved into printing the labels onto the jumper themselves. That continued on all the way through until now with the ISC, where they had the wash label and the size labels and the manufacturer label printed onto the back of the jumper themselves, onto the collar. Other teams are a bit harder. Adelaide's had a similar thing with their watermark logos into the jumper. That was probably a bit later on though, so that was around 2013 as well. They had that. But basically you're going to be looking for sublimated numbers if you're in the modern era. So from 99-ish, maybe a little bit earlier, 95 probably was the original sublimated jumpers, 95, 96. And then a bit later on for some clubs, because some clubs, like the Western Bulldogs and St Kilda, went a bit longer, into the 2000s. And even Fremantle had a so-on jumper up until 2003. I think Western Bulldogs went even longer than that, possibly up to 2006, which is crazy to think. But yeah, you're really going to look for the sublimated numbers on the back. Puma jumpers, you're going to look for the printed printed size labels and manufacturer labels on the collar from 2007 onwards. Yeah, basically, you're looking for the difference in material a little bit, and the sublimated numbers and the printed wash labels. That was a terrible answer, but thank you, Andy.
I think you kind of covered it in the first question, sort of ever so slightly too, with the cut of it and stuff.
Yeah. Yes. It's certainly a much harder question to answer when you're going back to the old Woolen days and the West Coast when they were in their prime. They had the Eagles head was actually sewn onto the jumper, so it's a little bit harder to see in pictures. But if you actually have it in hand, you can tell that it's actually sewn on, and that was an easier way to tell. Brisbane Bears, for instance, also had I can't remember what they call it, but on the back of the jumper, the line across the back was also stitched on. They didn't have that on the retail jumpers. So that was the late 80s, early 90s jumpers that they had. Another tough one, but there's just little minor things like that you can pick up on, which you can tell whether or not that player issue or not. But usually every club has their little things that stick out, and you can tell whether or not it is player issue. Also, Carlton is a big one. They have had their monogram stitched on for most of their history, at least in what I remember, is it's actually stitched onto the front of the jumper. It's actually heat sealed now, which I'll see how other Carlton fans feel about that, but their entire jumper is heat sealed, but we'll come back to that later on. Yeah, Carlton was really cool with their stitching the monogram. If you haven't seen a stitched monogram from Carlton jumpers, have a look into the earlier stuff. all the way up until 2015, 16-ish, when they were still stitched on the front, and they were actually raised kind of 3D style, which was really, really cool. Yeah.
In saying that, some people I have noticed, when you have either sold something or bought something, say it's a small or a medium, and it does look really small, everyone goes, oh, it can't be a player jumper because it's tiny. I have personally worn, well, I wouldn't say you made me try on Brad Hill's, is the Power Ranger jumper?
Correct,
Is that what it's called?
That was the Power Ranger jumper.
You made me try that on, and how small was that on me?
Yeah,
Like,
it was tiny.
It didn't fit me properly, and I'm not a big girl. It was,
You're a size 8.
I'm a size 8. And this jumper was so skin tight that you had to help me out of it.
Yeah. You're right. Actually, I picked up a training jumper last week on eBay. It was a George Hewitt Swans jumper, and they actually put in the description that it was a kid's jumper, probably fitting a size 12 to 14. Or it was actually labelled a small. Obviously, they would think it was a small kid's because it's very small. But yeah, that's what they wear because they have to literally just squeeze into these things. Most times when they come off the field and go back into the locker rooms, they have to be helped out. Some players wear them so tight, they get cut out of their jumpers, which going through a jumper every game.
And hence why they rip so easily when people grab onto them is because they are so thin.
Yeah.
Like, is that the word for it?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
thin, but yeah.
No, they are super thin. So
They're stretchy.
They're very stretchy.
They're meant to be stretchy.
Yeah, but they will tear like paper as well.
But I suppose, I don't know if that really helps, but if you go buy a retail jumper, you can't stretch them.
No.
It's just normal fabric, but with these, they're really stretchy. Like, even to get them on the mannequins that you've got that are displayed them, we have to kind of like stretch them over the arms.
Yeah.
So that's how tight they are.
Yeah, these are skinny mannequins too, but I still feel like I'm going to tear them when I'm pulling them over the shoulders of these mannequins. Sometimes I don't even want to do it. I get Emma to do it because it scares me.
And then I get in trouble because I'm manhandling them a bit too much.
Yeah.
Not as gentle.
Yeah, I don't know what they're actually made of, a lot of these jumpers nowadays, but I know the retails are made mostly polyester and elastane, so they'll stretch a very small amount, but nowhere near as much as the player issue jumpers do.
Nothing like.
And yeah, you'll notice that they do get torn a lot more on the field nowadays than what they used to. But the idea was back in the days where they were wearing the big, heavy acrylic jumpers, which were a woolen look and style. They're actually made of acrylic, believe it or not, which is insane. But they were very heavy, and obviously in the wet they would get extremely heavy, and it would just weigh people down. So what's the best way to improve everyone's performance? Well, start with the jumpers, make them real light and like they're not wearing anything. And also, being that tight, if someone's trying to tackle you, they can't get a hold of your jumper. So that's the idea is, everyone's trying to get a leg up on the competition. So there it is. Thank you, Andy, for your question. I think that was Andy's question.
Yes,
that was a while ago that was
yes,
asked,
it was.
wasn't it?
I thought you were thanking me for a minute then. I was like, oh, all right.
Thank you, Miss Emma, for asking the question.
Oh, no worries. Nice to know I'm appreciated.
You may continue.
All right. Next one is from Scott. His team is Hawthorn.
Scott?
What can I expect to pay for a jumper?
Yeah, okay, you're clutching at straws a little bit trying to get me to answer that one, but what should you expect to pay? You should expect to pay whatever the person who owns that jumper is willing to basically sell it for. Because, like I said previously, if you've listened to any episodes before, the jumper is really valued at whatever the owner values it at. And that may be a club, that may be another collector, or just a reseller, whatever. But if someone's trying to sell a jumper, they're going to put a price on it. And to them, that's what it's valued at, and that's what you should expect to pay. And if you're not willing to pay that, then you can try and negotiate. But if people don't want to take any less, then unfortunately you're out of luck. Unfortunately, it also comes down to what club you support and what club's jumper you're going after, because it's going to make a big difference. For instance, if you're going after a jumper from Port Adelaide compared to maybe the same player that plays for Fremantle, it could be a huge disparity in pricing. Maybe a very similar jumper, but unfortunately the market value and the sheer size of the collecting market for that club may be a lot larger. So, for instance, Port Adelaide have a large following, a large collection group out there. They're just willing to spend a lot more money on getting their jumpers. So the Indigenous jumpers, for instance, they were just sold in their stores. $950 was around the top value, but people were clamouring over it, and they didn't last. And then you could go to another club like Gold Coast, Fremantle, things like that, GWS, who maybe don't have the people who are willing to spend as much money, and you can pick up similar jumpers for $200 to $300. Just unfortunately, it's whatever team you really are going for, and the player especially that you're going for, and maybe if it's a one-off design, something like that, will certainly drive a different price. But unfortunately, you'll find there is no set pricing, unlike a retail jumper, which RRP $110, and many times you can pick up player issue jumpers for less than that. And if someone has a player issue jumper for less than $110 with recommended retail price, I suggest you don't even try and bargain. I would just take the win. The fact that it's a player issue jumper for less than a recommended retail price of a retail, and just take it as a win, and don't bother trying to fight with it, in my opinion.
I believe some people don't know what they have as well. Like, you've bought many jumpers and people don't even know what they are.
Correct.
Just think it's a jumper,
100%.
like a retail, and you've been very lucky, but don't bargain them down. If they want $50 for it, I mean, like, you're never going to get something like that for that price anyway, so just take it and accept it. Like,
yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. Trying to find jumpers, and if you find something that's well under what anybody else would be willing to pay, then you really just need to take that as a huge win and pay what they're asking, I think. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what it was I found, but I was in a op shop one day and called you up. And it was
I remember.
It was West Coast?
Yes, it was a West Coast training jumper. It was Matt Rose's from about 2010-ish.
I didn't know what it was. I was just flicking through the racks and sent Aaron this photo and said, "Do you want it?" And my phone was buzzing within 5 seconds, and he's like, buy it, pay for it. I think it was like $7.50 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Something
yeah.
crazy.
And someone was following you around the store.
Oh, yeah, some guy was following me. He was...
Waiting for you to put it down.
I don't know if he was waiting for me to put it down or if he was going to... Oh, no, he offered me... I think when I walked out, he offered me something for it.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, actually.
And I was like, no, sorry, it's not for me. And yeah, I wonder what he was going to offer me, though. I should have asked.
Yeah, should have. But in full disclosure, I sold that for $100 a couple months later.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
But thank you for the gift.
Oh, fuck you. I didn't even get my $7.50 back.
No, you didn't, no.
I want my $7.50, thank you.
I'll buy you a coffee.
Oh, cheers. All right, next one?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on. Next one is from Hayden Lepp.
Hayden, another contributor to the page. Thank you, Hayden.
And he's a Western Bulldogs supporter.
Yes, we've got something very, very soon, Hayden. Keep in tune. Keep. What's the word? I've just completely drawn a blank there.
Yeah, well, you should probably stop drinking, eh?
I probably should. I haven't even finished one drink yet, but I can't even speak. Stay tuned. There we go. Thank you.
I thought I was just going to leave you for a little while there and see how long it took you.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Shoot.
Shall I start again?
No, continue. We'll leave that one in.
Oh my goodness. Bloody alcoholic. What makes the grand final logo so special?
Grand final logo. Actually, something I have to mention in the last episode with Anthony Lynch is even when I listened back to it, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about when I was talking about grand final logos with him. I said something along the lines of Adelaide and Puma. Mm-hmm. And I meant Adidas and Puma. So for those listening and were probably very, very confused, as I was when I said Adelaide and Puma, referring to the Collingwood jumpers when they were with Adidas, in 2012, Puma for Hawthorn, referring to sublimated logos. The logo change, it's had a lot of changes actually since its inception, the actual logo. It's had a heck of a lot of changes, and we covered a little bit with Anthony, but I think the current one is the best. I think the way they do it is the best. Now, what makes it so special is if you've seen it up close, it has that embroidery underneath the AFL logo. It's quite a shiny red. Actually, it looks really, really cool. Anthony did mention it. We'll cover it a little bit more. But it's actually a two-piece. So when the AFL hand out these logos, they don't actually hand them out to the clubs. They'll fly someone to that club that's in the grand final, and they'll actually do this process themselves. They won't let the club do it because they don't want any of these logos leaking out. So it's a security feature. It also gives you real collectability because you know how rare these things actually are. So they'll heat press it on in 2 stages with the red underneath going on first, and then the AFL logo, so the ball part of it, which is actually clear, and the bottom half going on over the top. So it's in 2 pieces, and I think that's really, really cool. It's also a feltish type material, and it does have that 3D look because it does stand out, it pops. So if you get a real good close look at it, it looks really, really cool. And that one came along, I think, 2004, I believe. Sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. 2004. And I think that one's the best by a mile. And they do say they are going to change the logo. And I hope they don't change the grand final logo. But if they're going to change the logo, I guess they are. But
Don't change something that's not broken.
yeah, they've changed it that much since they began doing it. But they finally found a winner, I believe. And so other than the 2010, I think, pretty sure 2010 was as well. But 11 and 12, they had the sublimated logos on the Hawks and Collingwood jumpers. And I didn't like that as much. Some people do. And I've heard that some people like that more because for some reason they think that gives it more of an authenticity, that they can't get them reproed or anything like that. Or faked, if you like. But they certainly can. I don't know if you've seen on eBay, there's a lot of repros going out, especially with the grand final ones. Richmond especially. And people are paying ridiculous amounts of money for them, which sucks that they're doing that, but is what it is. I'd prefer they started off at 99 cents and people can then buy it if they like. But as long as they say, you know, this is 100% not real, then whatever, it is what it is. But it's not special to me. If someone's buying it, good on them. But that, to me, wouldn't be special because it's not the original. And that grand final logo really is what makes it special, because it's something that a club works hard for to get to, and it happens once a year, and 2 teams get to enjoy that, and 2 teams, fans, really get to enjoy the specialness of that jumper. So, yeah, what makes it special to me would just be the feel and the overall look of it. If you have a good look up close, you'll understand what I mean.
Can people buy the logos to heat press on themselves?
No, you certainly can't buy it in any official form. I have seen that people are trying to recreate it, which as long as it's not leaked and they're just using it for their own purposes, I don't have an issue with. But if it starts leaking out and people start putting these logos on jumpers and they start selling them as player issues and not telling people that this is a made up logo, but especially if it looks and feels exactly like a real one, then that would be concerning. But certainly not in any official form. No, you cannot.
I don't think they'd get that far yet. Anyway, if they put so much effort into making the logo, I think it'd be pretty hard for someone to fake that or get it right.
True, and I think that if they do eventually get it right, I think the AFL will just change it.
They'd get in a lot of trouble. I mean, it's almost finable, really, from the AFL, isn't it?
It 100% is, yes. I've been sent a letter for having their logo on something that I sold once from Bali, saying that if I don't remove my ad that I'd be up for a $10,000 fine. And I thought, Jesus. I said, mate, I only have one. You can have it. So they shut that down pretty quick. But yeah, it was pretty scary. They are a pretty scary entity. They're
very onto it as well. Like they obviously keep tabs on what's going on. And
yeah, so you don't want to mess with the AFL. So, I mean, yeah, I don't think you'd want to be caught doing that sort of thing. But yeah, like I say, if it does make it out there, I'd say the AFL will probably just change it and try something else as well. Yeah. But I do love the AFL logo, the grand final logo. It's fantastic. You may continue.
Oh, thank you. All right. Next one is from Ben Hitchings.
Ben.
I don't know what team that's from.
Sorry, Ben. We did not know who you support. We did try and have a look at your profile and try and figure it out, but
we tried not to be a bit too stalkerish.
We didn't want to stalk you too much, but no, we actually have no idea who you support. So
please tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know. We want to know.
We'd love to know who people support on our page. So yeah, let us know, please.
Okay, so it's from Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
And his question is, how many grand final jumpers are prepared per team?
Okay, so I know a lot of people think that the jumpers were just made for the players on the day. Not the case, however, purely because they're done early on in the week, and who the hell knows who's going to be playing that week in 110% confidence. Anything can happen with injuries and things like that. So basically, the jumpers will be heat pressed onto every single number that is on that list, just in case. Even if the player is injured and out for the season or whatever, they'll still put a logo on that player's jumper anyway. It could very well be specific to certain players and years, but they certainly will prepare a jumper for every single player on the list, including emergencies and any player that's not playing. But yeah, so there will generally be 2 to 3 each, and these jumpers aren't usually brand new jumpers either. They'll be jumpers that are worn throughout the year, or could just be spares that are sitting in the cupboard, but they're not made specifically for that game generally. Collingwood were a bit of an exception to that, as were Hawthorn in the 2011-2012 when they had them sublimated. Adidas and Puma got it right that time. Actually got them manufactured and out real quick. So don't think that would happen nowadays, especially with most clubs having their jumpers manufactured overseas. So I don't think that will happen too often. I know Port Adelaide managed to get their prison bar jumpers done up real quick. I think that was in a week as well, 4 days even maybe. Sent from Fiji over for their game for the elimination final, 2013 or 14. Sorry, can't remember, but I think that was a fair effort. So yeah, they get done for every player on the list, 2 to 3 generally.
Do they get made up as they find out who's in the grand final, or do these get made up?
Yeah, so after the prelim final, the AFL would fly over in the next day or two, and they'll sit there with the people in charge. I can never remember when I'm trying to say it, but the equipment managers, basically. They'll sit there with the equipment managers, and they'll go through and they'll put on these logos on all these jumpers with them. Thank you, Hayden?
No.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah, Hayden was before that. You're well off. That was Ben, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. That was a great question.
Poor Ben, trying to pinch his question. All right. Next one is from another Ben. I don't think this is the same one. And he's Collingwood supporter.
Hey, another Ben Collingwood.
So it's not the same Ben.
Okay. Well, unless it is.
Well, maybe it is. If we got that right, it's a fluke. And his question is, what's your thoughts on clubs releasing, quote, player issue retail jumpers in stores? For example, Ben Cousins, 2009, the Crows, 2013, Hawks, 2015, etc.
When I first saw it, I actually loved it, and I queried the Dockers on why they didn't do it, and I thought it'd be great. I mean, everyone would be able to pick up what's basically a player issue 5, and then I thought afterwards, no, that'd be a really bad idea. What you don't want to do is you don't want to flood the market. You don't want to bring down the value of the jumpers that are already out there and are actual player issue jumpers. And I think the LA Crows, as I think you mentioned, they bought them out, and they actually bought out jumpers that been player issue that were no different to what the actual jumpers were the players were wearing on field. Had GPS pockets and everything, and they were just basically in every size you could get. So it was flooded with 2013 Patrick Dangerfield, basically, everywhere. So unless you had a large Dangerfield, and you had a COA, so that's one reason that you would need a COA. Yeah, basically no one would trust that you had an actual player issue of a Dangerfield. Or a Tex Walker, or a Rory Sloane. I believe they may have been the only 3, but could be wrong. But then, the Hawks did it again in 2015, where they actually released their home and their Indigenous, home and their Indigenous jumpers, all player issue, all in every size you could get, multiple numbers. They all have GPS pockets as well. Just another reason why I don't think it's a great idea is, again, you're just flooding the market. Now, while it would be very cool to be able to pick up those jumpers and say, yeah, cool, I have a 5, your 10-year-old kid could get one for whatever price they were charging, $110 or whatever. Maybe, actually, no, $150 I think they were. It sounds great, but yeah, I think you're just running the gauntlet of just flooding it too much and I think even the clubs are ruining their chances of getting top dollar for auctions and things like that. So
It's a recipe for disaster.
it is. It's a bad idea, and I'm glad I was shut down on that one because, Freo jumpers are hard enough to get good value for money on those anyway. So last thing you'd want is them everywhere. So I'm trying to beat the market. So no, bad idea, I think.
Oh.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thank you, Ben.
Next one is from Dave Beanie.
Dave Beanie.
Port Adelaide?
It's always a question when you're asking it.
Oh, because I'm worried I'm going to say the names wrong and then I'm going to be in trouble. Like,
No, Dave Beanie. How you going, Dave?
I'm a fill-in here. If I get it wrong, I'm in trouble. I have to vacuum the floor. Now, question is, in my opinion, does a player winning a B and F,
Best and fairest,
Best and fairest, okay, or All-Australian honour
Yes.
increase the value of their jumper?
Yeah, I think it does. Again, I think it depends on the player and the team, but I certainly think it does. I mean, David Mundy won an All-Australian award in 2015. It was his first one. To me, that adds more value. For me, I'd rather have a 2015 at this point than 16, 17, 18, because we were kind of awful. But then to a lot of other people, it wouldn't make a difference, because it depends on who it is. And to me, it's great, but to other people, it's not so great. So
it adds value to the person that's collecting it.
yeah, I think it does. It's personal value, personal sentimentality, personal value, personal preference, all that sort of thing. To you, it's, yes, I would love to pick up a player issue, a match-worn jumper of the player that I admire the most in an All-Star. Oh, I keep saying All-Star. In an All-Australian or Best and Fairest year, because to me, that just holds more sentimental value. And you probably will find that, yes, Dangerfield, Dusty Martin, Gary Ablett, things like that, yeah, it probably will add more value. But then they've run so many of them, in the end, it doesn't really matter. After a while, with them won so many, it's not really going to make too much difference in the value of the jumpers, because there already is peak value anyway. So, yes and no, but mostly yes.
All right. Next one is from Dave again.
Dave, two questions. Get a bit cheeky.
2 in a row. Would I personally like to see all clubs have an Anzac jumper design, or at least an Anzac logo on the jumper?
Yeah, my personal preference is, yes, I would like to see every club make an effort and make an Anzac design, purely because it is such a big deal in Australia, and we all make such a big deal of it before and after the game and leading up to the week as well. I think it would just make sense that every club makes that effort to really put in a great jumper out there, because the clubs that do put out a great jumper out there, they get massive praise for it, and they generally tend to go for a fair amount of money on their websites and auctions as well. And it certainly adds collectability for all of us as well. But an absolute minimum is, yes, I do believe it needs to have an Anzac logo on the breast for sure. Fremantle have done it once, 2015, and that's it. They've never done it again.
It's very disappointing.
So, yes, 100%. I would like to see every club make an effort into putting an Anzac jumper out there every year. Certainly understand why they might not, purely because of the cost of manufacturing and things like that. Yes, it can become expensive for them, especially if they don't believe they can resell them or whatever there is they want to do with them. Sometimes, unfortunately, clubs do want to cut costs, but I think we do need to make an effort, and maybe the AFL needs to subsidise some of the cost to really putting in the effort to get a really good Anzac design out there for everybody. But please, at least put an Anzac logo on it somewhere.
Well, I believe it's kind of like the Indigenous jumpers. Like, everyone has an Indigenous design, whether it changes every year or not. You have one, and obviously they're really proud of those jumpers.
Yeah,
they all mean something. Like, I didn't realise that they all have stories behind them. Yeah, when Walters was talking about what every line meant something different.
Yeah.
So it means a lot to them, and I reckon there's not a lot of Anzacs left anymore. You know, but
is there any?
There's a few, very little.
Okay.
There's a few, they're hanging on. But, you know, I reckon, at least, like you said, put a logo on it. It's just out of respect.
Yeah, exactly.
They've done so much for us. We wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the Anzacs. Yeah. And I think not only is it out of respect for them, it would mean a lot to their families that you know, obviously they're not around anymore, but it's out there. Like, we still appreciate what they put out for us, what they did for us.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, none of those men came back the same as they left.
No.
They never had a normal life after that. So they pretty much put their life on the line for all of us to have the life we have to now, like today. So at least give them a logo.
Yeah.
They deserve that.
Yeah, I think you hit it on nail on the head there. I think we show the respect, and deservedly so, for the Indigenous boys to have these jumpers every year. And I think the Anzacs deserve no less respect from us. And yeah, I think to have those jumpers is the least we can really do. So yes, please get them out there.
All right.
Least of all for my collection.
Oh, for goodness sake. No, actually, I disagree now. Stop putting more logos on them, because every time they bring out a new one, you need a new one. We're running out of room.
Yes.
We're running out of room. All right. Next one is from... Where am I? Oh, I'm lost.
She's lost.
I'm lost, sorry. It's the glasses situation all over again. Okay, this one's from Jason Davidson.
Yes.
West Coast.
West Coast. Thanks for flogging us last week, West Coast.
We kind of deserved it. My opinion on who is the best and worst jumper manufacturer in the league.
Oy. Again, very subjective, as he said, my opinion. So most people will probably disagree with me, and that's fine. Some people might agree, and great. You're very great human beings. But anyway, my opinion on who's the best. Probably a little bit biased, but no, you know what? I'm going to say Puma. And I just changed my mind halfway through that answer. So the sad thing is Puma's, you know, there's only one at the moment. But I believe that Carlton are going with Puma next year. Could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. So I think that's going to be huge for Carlton. And also mentioning Carlton, I also think they're the worst manufacturer at the moment with Nike. And I think that's probably the fact that Nike just haven't cared for the last few years. I had a Cripps 2014, I believe, Indigenous jumper. And that was one of the last ones to have, 2015 as well, sorry, but one of the last ones anyway to have all their numbers supplemented into the jumpers. Now it's gotten so bad that the Blues actually have to put in their order basically 12 months in advance to get the numbers heat pressed onto their jumper. And they actually heat press every single logo onto their jumper now, including the monogram, the AFL logo, even the tag at the bottom of the jumper. They heat press everything.
Is it heat pressed?
Yeah.
All of it?
Yeah,
I've never studied it.
It's a completely blank jumper now, and they heat pressed a lot of it, which it looks amateur.
It doesn't look good.
It's sad for such a big club like Carlton, and who have a lot of collectors that love their club, and again, rightfully so. And people will still collect them, and that's great.
But that also makes it hard for how you were explaining how you know what a player issue is.
You're right.
Because they've completely changed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the cut will still be there. And the GPS pockets, they're still there. But, again, people that don't know what they're looking at, and they have a retail, they might say, oh, I've got a heat press Cripps as well, so mine's worth the same as yours. But it's really, we know it's not, but it's just that shit fight that you're going to have with people, which is annoying. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'd have to say Nike could be the worst manufacturer at the moment, but this is their last year, so thank God for Carlton.
Is that it? Like, who else does Nike design?
That's it. Just Carlton. Port Adelaide did it previously. I don't think it was as bad, but I actually don't think that Port Adelaide fans enjoyed the Nike jumpers either. And I didn't mind Carlton's Nike. I actually quite liked them. They actually looked really cool. And up until the 2015 ones with a completely wetsuit material.
Oh, yes, I remember those.
Yeah, they were odd. They were very weird. They felt weird. They like a sheet of paper, basically.
They literally felt and looked like a wetsuit.
Yeah, they were weird, but they still look really good on field. I think they look fantastic to look at. But I can't say that they look great to look at the moment. In the last couple of years, they're just having these heat press logos that just look so amateurish.
So if Carlton move on and get a new designer or a new, is that it for Nike?
Yeah, I don't think anyone else will go with Nike. I don't think the Nike brand would want to be involved with AFL anymore anyway, because they've obviously given up on it. But the great thing is, like I said, with Puma, I think Richmond's jumpers and the way they're made, I think West Coast fans will agree, is Puma, that looks great, and they also feel fantastic. The material is beautiful, and the elastane is real stretchy.
I noticed that like their colours in Richmond's this year are much more vibrant. Like the yellow looks great.
Yeah, they went from BLK, which was awful.
Which was like a mustard colour.
Yeah, it was
now
disgusting.
to this really nice looking yellow.
Yeah, so
like
the black was like a washed out grey, and the yellow was a mustardy yellow. It just didn't look great. But yeah, as soon as they move over to Puma and they're vibrant and they stand out a lot more, and surprisingly, so does the team.
It's a nice yellow.
Yeah, so I think Puma is definitely the best. I think ISC is second best, and I think with every club moving to ISC, I think everyone's starting to agree that ISC makes some good stuff. Yeah, they rip like paper, but the actual material is really nice and real thin and just real lightweight, and I think it looks pretty damn good, to be honest. Yeah, so Puma best, Nike worst. Sorry, Nike.
All right. Well, next one is from David Bolton.
Dave.
Carlton.
This was a late question. It was a bolter, if you like.
Oh, for goodness sake.
That was a good one.
If you do say so.
Yeah.
Please tell us if you thought that was funny, because if you don't...
You
just
better.
Don't laugh at him. He's not funny. Yeah. All right. Bear with me. I can't say big words.
Oi.
This is a big word for me. And I'll probably stuff it up, and if I don't...
Remember to dumb it down next time, Dave.
Yeah, no big words for me. Realistically...
Oh, that was well done.
I know, right? Let me say that again. Oh, you're going to stuff it now.
Yeah.
Realistically...
Ah, here we go.
What is one jumper you're chasing for your collection?
Okay, so I did mention in the last episode that I wouldn't mind... in the first episode, that I wouldn't mind a West Coast early jumper. But I think that was a very rushed answer to that question when I first was asked it. But in truth, I would actually love one. But realistically, what I'd really like is an early David Mundy jumper. And that's purely down to preferences because he is my favourite player. Certainly my largest collection. I have 31 or 2 of his now. But in early 2004, when he first played for the Dockers, his first season rather, early 2004, or any of the home early design with the purple, red, green, any of those jumpers would be great. I do have a white one from 2008, but I'd love a home from anywhere between 2004 to 2010 would be great. Any design, really, but home would be great.
But are they hard to find?
They are incredibly hard to find, which I don't know why. I don't know if they were just given out or just put in the trash or something, but every now and then one will pop up, but very rare. But you don't see Mundies or early Pavliches even.
I haven't seen a Pav in a very long time.
No, can't find them, so... Man, yeah, I'd love an early Pavlich too. Definitely love an early Pavlich.
From like the beginning or?
Yeah, like a 2000 Pavlich would be great. His very first would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, any of the mid 2000s. I do love the original 95 to 99 jumpers, don't get me wrong, but not too many players I like from them. Maybe a Winston Abraham would be great. But yes, please, anyone got a Dave Mundy or a Pavlich or anyone mid to early 2000s, please let me know, because I'd love one. Yes, I'm trying to buy jumpers on here too.
Oh my goodness. Think of me, like poor me. I have a tiny little shelf with pop vinyls on it.
That was Dave, right? Dave Bolton?
Yes.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for your question.
Yes.
That was a great one.
And encouraging him to get more jumpers.
Yeah, encouraging me for sure.
Well done.
Yeah.
All right, next one is from Josh on the
Josh.
Brisbane Lions.
Brizzo. Brisbane's going really well.
Where are they
Our
right now?
Josh actually loves that. They're in 4th right now.
Are they actually?
Yep, and they're playing great footy. They may drop to, I believe, 8th if they lose the next couple with tough games.
Wow, that's a massive drop.
But if they win them, look out.
Still in the top 8,
Brisbane will be coming.
Coming for you. All right, and his question is, tell us more in depth about your collection. What is the best jumper you own per club or have previously owned?
Okie dokie. So we'll just go alphabetical.
Oh, God, we'll be here forever.
No, I'll try and get through as quick as I can. So Adelaide, I don't have any right now, But my best Adelaide would have been a 2013 Dangerfield, I would say. I'm one of those ones that had one. But yes, mine was actually real. And I had a COA, so that was lucky. Other than that, I had a 2017 Alex Keith Grand Final jumper, but probably not to the level. Brisbane. Brisbane, I have a Brad Dalziel. No one probably knows who Brad Dalziel is, but I used to play cricket with him, so that sentimentality factor is probably the reason why that would be my favourite. Previously, I did have a Jonathan Brown 2002, however. That was awesome, so it definitely would be that. Carlton, I would probably go with the 2015 Chris Judd player issue, which I no longer have as well. I don't actually have any Carlton anymore either. I've actually had to sell those to go on our trip to America, but oh well.
Sorry.
I did also have the Indigenous Crips, like I say, but that probably just pipped out by the Judd. Collingwood, best would have to probably be the Luke Ball 2011 Grand Final jumper, purely because it was just covered in stains and looked awesome. And had a COA, but more so it just looked wicked. Essendon, I had a Matthew Lloyd. I now have an Indigenous or a Dreamtime Tip and Woody, which is pretty cool. So I don't know which one I'd go there. Fremantle, Dave Mundy's 300th jumper. Geelong, I had a 2010 Gary Ablett. There's also one on eBay at the moment. I think buy now for $2,500. So if you're interested, get on that. GWS, I'll go with a Josh Kelly Indigenous. He's an absolute jet, and he'll win a Brownlow one day. So, yep, Josh Kelly. Indigenous from 2016. Gold Coast, I've got a couple of Gary Ablett match worns from 2017. We'll just go with those. Also have a very first game, Brandon Matera, was signed by the whole team from Gold Coast, so that close second. Hawthorn, I would go with a Buddy Franklin 08 long sleeve, which was pretty cool. Don't have that anymore, but so be it. Melbourne, haven't had too many Melbourne. I did have a Max Gorn name round jumper that was really cool. So yes, I'll go with that one. North Melbourne, I've got a Wayne Carey 1999. Still have that. Port Adelaide, best one I had was probably a Prison Bar. Who was it? Ruckman. I've forgotten actually.
I do remember that jumper though.
Yeah, it was a Ruckman. I do remember it was a Ruckman. So yeah, it would be a Prison Bar. There we go. Richmond. Probably forgotten some teams along the way here, but I hope not.
You're apparently doing these in alphabetical order.
Yeah, I've forgotten the alphabet. Anyway, Richmond would be the Dusty Martin 2016 match worn I had. Sydney. This is my alphabet's a bit off here, but
yeah, very
we'll go Sydney. And I will say a Barry Hall 2005, I think. That doesn't sound right. Yeah, I think it is. We'll just say 2005 Barry Hall. Yeah, no, that's right. Love that jumper. It's really cool. St Kilda, I've got a long sleeve Robert Harvey, which I've mentioned before. So I'll also say I have a 2008 Robert Harvey home jumper as well. Love that as well. Western Bulldogs, got a Bob Murphy 2008 home jumper and West Coast. Best I've had. Tough. Very tough. I've had quite a few good West Coast.
There's been a few.
I've got a Josh Kennedy 2015 now, which is the only one I have. But I also had a Scotty Cummings 1999. I also had a Chad Morrison BGC pre-season. I had a Chris Judd 2007. I had a Ben Cousins 2007.
Did you have a Nat Nui one too?
Yeah, I had a Nat Nui 2010. I also had a Nat Nui... Yeah, I don't know. I had a couple of Nat Nuis.
You had a couple of them, yeah.
And also had a Matt Prittis 2014 as well. So, yeah, I had quite a few good West Coast ones, but nowhere near as many as other people have. But there you go. That's of, I believe, them in alphabetical order somewhat would be my best jumpers.
And that's just a little part of the collection.
It's a very small amount. So I'm trying to go more in depth, but
Sprinkle.
there's still a lot more to cover.
All right. Next one is from John.
Johnny.
From Essendon.
Mm-hmm.
Or from Essendon. Supporter of Essendon.
Supporting Essendon.
Either
John
either.
from Essendon.
Of the Essendon.
Good win today. Speaking of Tip and Woody. kicked a great goal to win the game.
I like the way someone tried to buy that jumper off you as pretty much as soon as you bought it.
Yeah.
It hadn't even been posted to us, and
No.
this guy was like, I want it. No.
Nah, he's a good man, though. He's probably listening right now.
Oh, sorry.
Actually,
I just thought it was funny.
sorry, mate, you can't have it. But
Don't worry, one day I'll get it. I'll make the money. Just like message me instead.
no,
We'll make a good deal.
you can't have
Okay,
it. I'll lock the door.
Question is, what else do you collect other than AFL?
Well, anything I really
Where
like.
does he begin?
Yeah, there's a long-winded question, but anything I follow or like or enjoy, I'll just collect something from it.
So he also has his own little collection of pop vinyls.
Yeah, I do have pop vinyls, mostly wrestling ones. Not really anything else, pop vinyl wise, really.
Oh, just
The
basketball.
odd one here and there, but mostly, yeah, wrestling pop vinyls. I also have a collection of wrestling belts. I either have 9 or 10 wrestling belts, and Emma has actually put them all on their hallway wall for me. Or 4 of them, but it looks awesome. They're also in display cases as well, so I'll put some photos up for you so you can have a look, because it looks really, really cool. She did a great job.
I actually screwed the holes in the walls.
She did.
I did this.
Our walls is extremely soft, so we don't have to get anyone else in. She's good enough to do it for us.
So if the house falls down within a few days, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I do collect wrestling belts. I also have other wrestling items, like I have a Goldberg pair of shorts, trunks rather, that were signed by him. I have a pair of Bret Hart tights, the whole outfit, that were also signed by Bret Hart. I've got a pair of Bret Hart sunglasses signed by him. I've got Stone Cold Steve Austin vests. I also have cricket stuff, which I don't collect much of, but if I do like something, I'll get it, like really with anything else. I have the Shane Warne Festival of Cricket worn shirt from 2014. I also have Gilchrist from 2016. I have Sean and Mitch Marsh's One Day Western Warriors tops from last year. They didn't actually play, but they had prepared shirts. They're pretty cool. I've got Game On basketball jerseys from the NBA, from the Wildcats. I have a lot of Game On Wildcat stuff. Bryce Cotton, Wag stuff. Heap of Wildcats jerseys. I also randomly have worn Dexter shirts, which is a little bit different, but there was an auction from Pop Culture History or something or other like that. They came up and they were selling a bunch of Dexter lots, a heap of different stuff, shirts, props and things like that. And I picked up a worn Dexter and a worn Deborah shirt as well, and they're on the rack hanging as well. So yeah, I do collect a lot of other things. I also have a pair of Enzo Amore worn shoes.
Jordans,
J's, if you like. And if you know who Enzo Amore is, a lot of people don't really like him. However, he was an interesting character, and he was hilarious to listen to on the microphone. We actually got to meet him at WrestleCon this year. We went over to America, we went to New York, and we met a heap of old wrestlers. We met Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Diamond Dallas Page, Mick Foley, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Rob Van Dam, Christian, Boogeyman, Ric Flair. The list just goes on and on and on. But we met Enzo Amore, and he was just the nicest bloke ever. Spoke to us for a good 15 minutes and really, really enjoyed chatting to us, and we enjoyed chatting to him. We told him we got engaged, and he stopped the whole crowd and was yelling out to them and said he'd marry us. So he's still got the invitation to come and marry us at some point.
would be fantastic.
And yeah, so if you ever get the chance to meet Enzo Amore or just give him some love, definitely do so, because he's actually a great bloke, and he does have a pretty good Twitter and Instagram, pretty entertaining.
He's very entertaining.
He's not a bad rapper as well, if you can get past some of the shit that he does, but he's got some pretty good songs on there with some good stories. So yeah, I collect a lot of stuff. Mostly, I would say, wrestling. So if anyone else is out there who enjoys wrestling, let us know.
So basically what he's trying to say in everything he just told you is that our house consists of football, wrestling, pop vinyls, Yeah, we don't really have... I don't even think we have furniture. Do we have a dining room table?
Do we? I don't know. It's
No.
usually covered in
It's
shit.
pretty much covered in collectibles and stuff. And then, yeah, he's now got himself a jersey room, full jersey room. Mm-hmm. And he also now has himself a podcast room.
A studio.
A studio, sorry.
Let's get that right.
Sorry.
This
So
is
he
very
now has a
professional.
studio. We have a 3-bedroom house. One of them is our room. And the rest, they're gone.
Yeah, into oblivion.
They're gone.
But what we do have, we use well. So
And we display it and look at it very proudly.
we do indeed. Anyway. What?
I have a question.
Oh,
Don't be rude.
sorry.
So, next question
Shoot.
is from...
This is off the record,
It's from
too.
Emma.
Emma. Hello, Emma. Nice to meet you.
And she supports Fremantle.
Okay.
And her question is, do you recommend getting your collection insured? And if so, how do you put a value on it?
Yeah, that's super tough. I've had to talk to multiple people about that, and some people say, yeah, I've got to either insure with my home and contents, but then you've got to get someone out to have a look and value it. Otherwise, you can use receipts and things like that of ones you may have bought from the club. But then, of course, you're not going to get the value back that you actually bought. Then, of course, if you do insure it, really the value you're going to get from insurance is just perceived value. Because, let's be honest, you're never going to get back what you actually purchased. But yes, I would recommend probably getting insured if you have a large collection. Just purely just so you have some of your money back where you can restart collecting again. But yeah, unfortunately, you're never going to get the jumpers back that you had. So it's really about getting some of your money back from your collection that you've lost. Some of it is more sentimentality that you're just never going to see again, which is the sad part of it. I don't have my collection insured. I'm sure one day I may do so, purely because I do value it rather highly. And if I had someone come out and value it for insurance, I would probably do so as well. So yes, I probably will at some point. Okay, so that's going to conclude our first ever Q&A episode. We're looking to answer some more questions in future on what you think people might like to learn about or hear, just in general in terms rather than my opinions, I would guess. There'll be some collectors and some new collectors out there that might like some tips and tricks, and I may miss some of those opportunities. So if you do want to send through questions as we go along, so we can learn a bit more about some stuff that people might like to know from other people's perspectives, then please do so. Marlo has joined us back in the studio. Say hello, Marlo.
Oh,
Yep, that was
rude.
basically her saying hello. She's walked away and is going to start chewing on her leg. So
It's rather tasty.
thank you very much, Emma, for joining me today.
Thank you.
It's been a 2-part episode, but I think we've pulled it off.
I think we did all right.
And I thank you all again for listening to us, and hope we didn't bore you too much. So there we go, folks. That's episode number 4 of the Player Issue Podcast in the books. We thank you again for joining us. And in the next episode that we are hoping to talk to is a guy by the name of Jaden Shea. Now, that might not come off as a name that anybody knows, and he's not your traditional collector. Well, he may be. I've got to do a bit of research into him at this stage. But he actually contacted me on the page just to let us know that he enjoyed the show and just give us a little bit of his feedback. And he told us that he actually works for the Western Bulldogs. So it's a very interesting conversation that I am preparing for. And I cannot wait to chat with Jaden. So please keep tuned on that one. And if you didn't know him before, as I said, you're going to learn a lot about him by the time we get done. And from the research I've already done, he's already going to have one hell of a story to tell us. And he's going to have some great stuff. And like I said, I'm very excited to chat to him. So as I mentioned, if you all can send in your feedback, and as we are now on Apple Podcasts, if you can get on there and rate and review us. I see we have 5 reviews or ratings on there already. All 5 stars, so thank you very much to everybody. And Andy Munro has actually left us a review. And we really, really appreciate that. What it actually does, we have no idea. But every podcast that we've listened to, they always say at the end, please rate and review us. So I'm just going to be like everybody else and ask the same thing. Whether it means they're going to monetize the episode with advertisement, so be it. I know nobody likes advertisement, but it's not actually a cheap venture. This isn't something that is free for us to do. We do have to actually pay for websites to host our episodes, and of course all the equipment, and just that little 5-second intro that we have at the start cost me $60. I need to get into another line of work. But anyway, we're not out for donations or anything like that. But if we do end up getting some advertisement from you guys' reviews and ratings, then we certainly wouldn't be opposed to it, so we can keep it going for as long as we possibly can. But anyway, thank you again. We can't wait to hear the next one. We promise we won't be as long getting them out. We're going to try and aim for every 2 weeks. And hopefully we have Josh back in the studio for our next episode with Jaden Shea, providing that he is our next guest. We just have to work on some Skype problems. The problem being is I've never actually used it. So we're just going to have to do a bit of a research into that and see if we can record our episode with Jaden through Skype. Otherwise it'll be a general phone call, which probably won't give us the quality we're after. So we're going to look after you guys and get the best audio quality we can out there. So anyway, thank you again for listening. We can't thank you enough for all the feedback that we've got. We've had over 400 plays and over 100 downloads of the show, and that's just from Spreaker. So can't even tell you how many we've had from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, and iHeartRadio. We're everywhere now, so we're trying to take over Australia with something that we all love and enjoy. So thank you very much again. Please rate and review us, and please continue to enjoy the show, and we'll bring you as much as we possibly can and get all you guys and all your stories on. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Ta-ta for now.